Welcome back to the Halal and Hickey Show. This time, Halal and Chuck Show. No, Hickey and Chuck Show. Nah, Hickey and LaRossi Show. Actually, today we're joined by one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sports department members of all time. No Jack, no problem. Everybody welcome in Marc Calheta. Marc, how do you feel you're finally here?
I mean, I feel honored to finally get on this show. I feel like I've been stuck in the minors for years trying to claw my way up to the greatest show the sports department has ever seen. And this is like my moment. This is my Roman Anthony moment. This is my Roman Empire moment. I finally made it to the big leagues. So I want to thank both you guys for allowing me on. Thank Jack for not being here this week. Right. Want to give him a shout out though. Huge happy birthday to his grandma reaching 90. A milestone I don't think us three combined are going to make with our ages.
No,
so
never. Yeah.
Huge shout out to her and his family who hopefully is listening. I just hope they all enjoy their Europe trip. But yeah, I'm excited to come on and excited to talk some ball. And I mean, summer's almost ending. We're almost into the belly of the beast here for the sports season.
That's right. So Marc, I mean, we've been on the air together. We had the draft-a-thon going this past year. Declan, we've been doing this for a bit too long now, I'd say.
Too long.
Getting to the end of it. Marc, just tell me, you told me you're a fake Red Sox fan prior to shooting and taping.
Yeah, so what I always say is when it comes to the Red Sox, I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but I do love playoff baseball. There's just something where every pitch, every swing just means that much more, where you can tell how locked in the players are. So when it comes to the Red Sox, I don't buy in until we have a winning record and look good after the trade deadline. So very fake Red Sox fan. I probably watch like 30, not even, I would say I watch 20 regular season games before the playoffs. Once the playoffs come in, though, biggest bandwagon you'll ever meet. I will ride and die for this team, but we just got to make it to the postseason first.
Well, Marc, this team has been unbelievable. They've kind of exceeded my expectations after trading Rafi Devers in June. And, the trade deadline, to put to what you were talking about, they didn't do much at the trade deadline. Acquired Steven Matz and Dustin Maye. May's been awful at the back end of the rotation, but this rotation 1 through 4, and Garrett Crochet, Brian Bale, Lucas Giolito, and Payton Tolle, looks like a playoff rotation, and it looks like a team that can compete. We'll talk a little bit about now and open up about this series that unfortunately just wrapped up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was there for the Payton Tolle start, watched that team crumble after Weister came in. I think poor management just in that one. It's one of those losses, kind of a weird series loss. Yeah. And then we'll talk about yesterday's win, and then we'll preview kind of what's going on today with Crochet versus the random that the Guardians have decided to slate. So, Declan, tell me about that Pirates series and what you thought about it.
Definitely a great start from the kid. To see, I think he started the first 3 innings, he had, 5 or 6 strikeouts or, something like that, I didn't expect. We've been talking about him, for this past year almost, kind of you drafted in the second round of the draft last year, and we're let's basically see what you can do. And I think he definitely exceeded expectations. I mean, he's definitely probably going to be 4. He's definitely already better than Maye, and he was definitely already better than what they had in Walker Buehler. It was a great start. I think through the first 5, I think towards the 6th inning, he started going away with the fastball, which he was lighting up for, and I think it was a good start. Obviously, it was spoiled by the Weiser, and the team just those last 3 innings just couldn't score a run. But yeah, I think it was definitely a very promising start, and like you said, definitely a playoff rotation. So yeah, I think it was a great start for him. Didn't get the win, but I think he'll bounce back for sure.
I want to say just quick breaking news. We've done this on the show a couple of times. Kyle Harrison has just been called up by the Red Sox to start on Wednesday. So another pitching prospect actually nabbed by the Red Sox in that Devers trade. A guy that I'm not really high on. Obviously, that Devers trade was more of a salary dump and get this guy out of here. Even though, it'd be great to have a bat like him in the lineup right now. He's got 28 home runs on a team that's just doing nothing and has no importance to society whatsoever. But I think Harrison now starting on Wednesday, it's interesting to see.
It's a good sign.
It's interesting to see what he maybe could do at the back end of this rotation. But again, I'm not really big on him. I think we've seen him in the majors.
You think he'll be a consistent starter, and you think they're trying to move Maye to?
It might be a spot start situation where they're going to try and see what they have out of him.
And then see if he could, because he could play the pen.
He could play in there, for sure.
Or Maye could play in the pen, I guess.
Right. But, to talk about this Guardian series now, yesterday, pretty big win for the Sox. They bounced back coming off that weird series against the Pirates. Yeah. 2 teams that, you should be winning series against and dropping that last one, kind of whatever. This team's now, tied with the Yankees 2.5 games back of first place in the AL East. Yankees have a tough schedule coming up with the Astros lined up starting today. I think this Guardians series is winnable. I think they could also potentially sweep. I mean, they've got a pretty horrific pitcher today. Cleveland yesterday decided to score 3 runs against Bayo, one of Bayo's kind of worst starts in a very long time since June. Still made it through 5. But, yesterday, the Guardians are the worst ranked offense in the American League, and they scored a decent amount of runs against us yesterday. I think today with Crochet on the bump, I just don't. I see a potential shutout,
which
happening.
is crazy because that team made the ALCS.
That's right.
Just some
So
and then
completely just underplayed themselves the entire season.
Also, their scandals have not helped their team.
No, their entire bullpen bats just like Marc Calheta does. Now, at the end of the day, I think. I think the Sox can take this series, and there's not much to talk about. I mean, Wednesday we'll see how Harrison does and the spot start. They might piggyback him, whatever the case may be. But again, this team just pick up this series win. If it's a series win, they drop Wednesday. It's fine to me. But I think they could sweep. This is not a great offense. We saw it yesterday. The pinch hit Narvaez makes it 5-3.
No.
Trevor Story's 306-foot home run, which is the most Fenway Park thing that could possibly happen. But to kind of stray away from that, now looking in to what this wild card could potentially be like, how do you see this shaping up at the end? Do you see the Red Sox taking first place at the end here, or do you see us hosting the wild card against the Yankees?
I think it's more likely to host the wild card, but I don't know again because I said because yesterday I was watching the Red Sox game and I'm like, oh yeah, we'll win, but I don't think we're gonna win the division. And then I see that the Blue Jays lost on Sunday, and then they lost yesterday to a walk-off against the Reds. I'm pretty sure is what happened.
Yes.
And it kind of boosted my confidence all the way back up. Because it's only 2.5, and we still play a series with them towards the end of the year.
That's right.
With them, then Detroit to end it. It
could get interesting.
It could get interesting because I don't think this Yankees team is going to win on their stretch of games. I think they're going to have a tough time. It goes Astros, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and there's one other team.
It's a tough stretch for them. Especially coming off the White Sox and two teams they could have, they obviously did their business with dropped one game.
Yeah, which they should have swept. But I don't know. I could see us making that push for number one because, it seems like the Blue Jays are having a little bit of a skid. They're they've been great, but a lot of times towards the end of the year, teams will kind of cool down a little bit towards it gets to October. So I don't know. I'm gonna hold my tongue and say the wild card.
Marc, again, a guy that loves playoff baseball. What would this mean? And I've asked Jack this, and he's giving me the most like ESPN answer about it. It's a you want the environment, you like how it looks. You want it to sound great in there, and Fenway gets rocking, as Jack would say. What would just being in the postseason and just entering, it's an 0-0 season at that point. It's a brand new season. What would that mean for this Red Sox group?
I think more than just this group, I think the city of Boston needs the Red Sox to be good again. Not even good, just back in the playoffs. We know, I'm going to sound a bit ESPN here, but we know what Fenway is like in the playoffs. Right. It's a magical place. Yeah. I don't mean to do the cliche, but it really is at the end of the day. And especially a series against the Yankees. I mean, just imagine that. Sox back in the postseason for the first time, 4 years?
2021, yeah.
Yeah, and we're playing the Yankees. I mean, the storylines write themselves. That's right. Something I think everybody in the city is rooting for, and it would be phenomenal not just to be able to come against the Yankees in that situation, but be able to host the home playoff game with home field advantage.
Well, Marc, I agree with you in that regard where it not only takes this team to wrap this season up in a confident way and be, not skidding off and kind of tailing. 2021, August, September was awful. I mean, they tailed off. They just barely made the playoffs. Yeah. And that's not what we see here today. We see a team that's well-rounded. And I think a big addition to this team that is not being talked enough about is when Abreu comes back in this lineup. I mean, the guy's been a little injury prone, right? I mean, it's kind of a conversation you need to have. Yeah. He fell down the stairs last year and got hurt. That's awful. That's annoying that happened. But I'm saying there's been instances, whether it's his back, his calf, his hamstring. Yeah. And I hate the way this squad plays down injuries. I mean, they said that he'll be back in a few days, and it's turned into 2.5 weeks. Yeah. So I think, and we're going to jump into hockey today because Marc Calheta's here, and he's the hockey king, and we never talk about hockey. Yeah. But just in general. And the reason why I say that is because in hockey, I mean, they don't disclose injuries at all. I mean, you could break your entire arm, and they're like, he's fine.
Yeah, they're just going to say it's an upper body injury. That's then it comes out, the guy plays through it. Next thing you know, it's like, his liver was snapped in half. I don't know how he's walking.
So it's
right
that with how the Red Sox kind of manage their injuries has been interesting. But I think this rotation's rounded out. We've got Payton Tolle in there, who's been, in my opinion, from the first. I mean, only one start, but the start I was there, 8 Ks in your career debut with a power fastball as a lefty. It doesn't get any better than that.
Especially going like toe to toe with the Cy Young candidate. Like
That's right.
Stevens. He was going
exactly
back and forth. They were both looking like amazing until that 6th inning. But
so I mean, I think time will tell tonight. 6:45 start for the Red Sox. Garrett Crochet's lined up against a random for the Guardians. I could bite my tongue about it. I really don't think they're gonna drop this one, and I think it's going to be a good day for the offense. Get right back into it as they did yesterday, and you know, September call-ups were kind of whatever. Zach Kelly, Ali Sanchez. Now they have a chance with 3 catchers in the roster to be more flexible when it comes to pinch hitting. But Zach Kelly, just like adding another Jordan Hicks to this bullpen. And I think to round this Red Sox conversation out, the 2 guys that I think are DFA candidates now that they're in a playoff push is Masataka Yoshida and Jordan Hicks. So 2 contracts that you're going to have to eat.
Please.
But at the end of the day, if you're in the business of winning championships, as this ownership group has said for this season specifically, if Jack was here, he'd say, "Oh, they'd never say that," because you know that this season they're looking to win and be in competition, and for the next couple of years be in competition for the World Series. I think if you're going to be a real group of guys and want to be in the playoffs, you got to spend money, but you also got to shed money that you,
and you have to
made accidents on.
And you also have to tank that money because if you get rid of Yoshida, I don't know what the cost is.
The thing is, the Boston Red Sox are the Boston Red Sox.
No, I know that's what I'm saying.
You know, like at the end of the day,
that's what I'm saying. Like the cost isn't
right.
too much. To
16 or 18 mil annual value for Masataka Yoshida, who is a contact specialist and can't play the field, is sunk cost. They're playing him because they
also barely throw the baseball.
Can barely throw the baseball. So it's a sunk cost fallacy where they're like, oh, we need to play him because we spent money on him. I think towards this end of this week or the following week, they're going to get rid of Yoshida, and then Hicks is following him.
I just don't understand who's still on the team.
Yeah.
I know it sounds dramatic, but if you watch these, like especially, I always go back to that Minnesota game.
Oh, yeah.
That is the worst game I think I've ever watched. Okay, not in my life, but one of the worst endings I've seen in the game. I waited that long to watch an hour and a half rain delay, just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, just watching Tom Caron just go away.
That's right.
And then I'm like, okay, let's get back to this. But I just can't even describe the feeling of like anger I had after that game.
I mean, it was a tough one to watch, and
it was bad.
And
it's not just that game. It's just like all these late innings. He's I don't think he's ever once succeeded in these late inning situations. Whether it's the 7th, 8th, or the 9th. Or extra innings. He's never. And I don't really understand the justification why he's still on the team still.
I just think a guy like Hicks is another reason, we picked him up in the trade. You got to keep him in there because they picked him up in the trade. But at the end of the day, what was annoying to me, and I had this conversation at the Red Sox game when he came in the Tolle start, was he doesn't seem to have any connection to the group. He doesn't seem to have any connection to the city. He doesn't seem to care about what's going on.
Yeah, he's just kind of thrown in the mix. He's just there.
He's just there.
He's on his own island.
That's right.
But it does suck a little bit because, you see, he does have good stuff. It's just
Jordan Hicks has good stuff.
Decent stuff.
He just throws hard. He has no control.
He prays it hits the zone.
That's right.
I'm just saying that
But a guy that has good stuff is like a guy that can control his stuff. Like Brian Bayo had good stuff for a while. He could control it, but the problem with him was he thought he was a strikeout pitcher.
He's not.
Last game, for some reason, whatever Andrew Bailey and the pitching staff thought going into that, like we can strike these guys out, costed him 1 million pitches. He threw more cutters and fastballs instead of dotting that zone with sinkers first strike and getting ground outs. That's what kind of ran his pitch count up. That's what screwed him in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
That's why I think the guy like Hicks, Cora talks about him like, I don't even know how to compare.
To say we're working on
we
him.
think he's got something and whatever. It's like
trying to do something here.
Right.
Like,
it's like
maybe we can find something for him.
When Belichick was talking about Bailey Zappi.
We're going to have to keep experimenting, try to find something.
It's like it's just a bunch of jargon. I'm sure Hicks and Yoshida will be DFA'd by the next couple weeks.
He basically has to say that, though.
You don't have to.
Yeah, but you
can kind of just say, we're working on it, and that's about it. There's no, we see something. Okay, that's not a high leverage guy. That's not a low leverage guy. He can't even mop up. He's in a game 10-5. He might
be worse than Isaiah Campbell.
He might be worse than him. Yeah.
And Zach Kelly. Oh, wow, I don't know. Zach Kelly's pretty bad.
I want to now, shift focus. We got enough Sox talk in there. I want to talk about these Bruins, right? And I want to get Marc rolling, and I'm trying to get my ball rolling in ice hockey. And
Puck.
this is a whole new organization. This is an entirely new,
full-on reset.
complete reset. And, everyone was calling for Don Sweeney to get, his head chopped off. And during that time that Don Sweeney was in this, the midst of, let's get this guy out of here, I see this guy at a Harvard game, at the rink. And I'm like, this guy's got to have some bodyguards around him, because he was in a tough spot. And he'll forever be in a tough spot because of the mismanagement of drafts, the mismanagement of who they're bringing in. Because, again, this group, this organization has been great at finding free agents that fit the team and fit the identity of the offense and fit the identity of how they want to play. But then when it comes to the draft, which I'll go to you about, what has kind of been the issue with these Bruins in the draft?
I mean, the issue in the draft is always, everybody's going to say hockey is when it comes to the upper management, you look at a lot of different teams. It's a boys' club at the end of the day. They're going to pick who made them great back in their glory days, say, hey, these guys were so good in the day. Let's keep pushing them up and up and up. That's what's continued to happen with the Bruins. I mean, you look Marco Sturm, an ex-Bruin coming into coach. I mean, I don't know what to expect from him. I mean, his first head coaching gig at the NHL level. We'll see what he's got, and he's got a pretty bare-bones roster. You got Swayman and you got Pasta.
That's about
Other
it.
than that, we got a bunch of failed first-round draft picks who you're wondering why they haven't stepped foot in the NHL yet after being drafted 6 years ago. I mean, Lysol, I don't know what to think of him yet. We got him how many years ago, and we've yet to see that guy suit up in a Bruins roster. That wasn't a preseason game. So it's a lot of just question marks that even, like, as someone who's been a diehard Bruins fan since the age of 3, I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words, funny enough, we're here to talk about this Bruins team, and yet I still need to see us play at least in a few preseason games to at least kind of get a mark. I don't think we're going to be good, obviously. I don't think this is a playoff team. I just don't know if we're going to be stuck in that midfield where we missed the playoffs like we did
Purgatory.
Yeah, thank you, purgatory. If we're going to be in that spot where in 2012, I think it was, where we missed the playoffs by like 2 points and a loss to the Senators, or if we're just going to be the new Buffalo Sabres where we're going to suck it up and be eliminated from the playoffs by the time January comes around.
The last time this team was competing for the Cup and in that mix and also at the Cup, right? For you, when it comes to the way this team has added or dished out the right contracts, or I would say left in this weird limbo of what's our identity from that point on, because you win the Cup in 11. Was it 21? Which one was it where they competed? They were in the Cup.
Oh, 2013 against the Blackhawks.
13 and then
19.
And then 19 and then 19. That's been it.
Okay, 19 was the Blues.
19 was
correct?
Game 7 Blue Jays. Blue Jays, sorry, I'm still on baseball.
Yeah.
Versus the Blues.
Blues. So 2019, I'm sitting there
Game
watching.
7 loss. Yeah,
I'm
4-1.
watching
That was the worst game.
Game 7.
That was bad.
And that was the last, and being honest with you guys, this is the last time I fully watched a hockey game. And I didn't really watch hockey as a kid, but when it was postseason time and we actually got past the first round, I would watch the Cup. And watching that in 2019 and watching Game 7, I think that infuriated me.
The line change.
Just everything about that game infuriated me towards the end of it. And now I want to ask you, what do you think the identity of this team is going to be? Because this has been the biggest thing on sports radio, on EEI, on 98.5. What is this identity? They're on the phone with Nesson analysts talking about the identity. What do you think this team's going to be like?
What I think is obviously we know what they've been. Cup contender, a team who's always going to be in the playoff mix. Now I think we're going to be a team who is just on the outside in when it comes to playoffs. We're going to be competing for top 10 draft picks, no longer top 10 spots in the league. I think if this team comes in, upper management saying, hey, we're still here to compete for a Stanley Cup, it's BS. They're lying to us. You look at this bare-bone roster, I mean, even if everybody plays up to the top of their ability, this team still isn't a wild card team. We don't have the players. I mean, goaltending's still there. We got Swayman, but he can only stand on his head for so long.
What kind of season did he have?
Exactly, and last season was well. And we've seen what type of league it is now. It's a 2-goalie league.
Right.
You come in with a starter and a backup who can hold his own,
and then
who you discover at the start of playoffs, whoever's hotter. Obviously, you got other teams where you got the Jets, you got Hellebuck, you got Dallas with Ottinger. Those guys got their Lightning with Vasilevsky. You look at it with the Panthers with Bob. They got their 1-1 guy. However, most of the other teams in the league, they got guys who are competing all year long. No one's really the starter. They just find whoever's hotter going into the playoffs to be able to stand on their head and try to help their team move through the gauntlet that is the Stanley Cup playoffs.
When it came to getting Swayman onto the team with the contract, obviously held out a little bit, waited. You end up losing, forgetting his name. all Marc.
Yeah.
And you had the
trade bait there.
Exactly.
And
it's a tough way because you look at it from the front office standpoint, and baseball and football and baseball, regardless of what the sport is. Sometimes when you see a front office handle something like that, it shows you kind of what the organization is.
I kind of
like.
lost it. That moment for me was the Marchand moment.
Yeah.
Marchand, I think he wanted, $7 million a year?
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy who's your captain. He's been a Bruin for life. He's been on your team that's gone to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 times, was on the team that won the Cup, was on you could say the greatest regular season. Well, they are the greatest regular season NHL team of all time that had the highest playoff expectations ever that couldn't even make it out of the first round. I mean, you look at what he's done and where he's been when he is on this team, and the fact that we just traded him away to a team you could say is our biggest rival right now, the way things have gone the last 3 seasons, is just absurd. Yes, we ended up getting a first-round pick out of it, but it's the Panthers pick. That's number 32 in the entire league. You know who that's going to be? And the way we draft, especially late in drafts, it's going to be no one. It's absurd to think about the wasted draft picks, the way we dealt away our captain. I mean, we are making fun of the Rangers. I don't know if you guys, how much you pay attention to hockey, but Jacob Trouba, captain of the Rangers, a guy who always had some problems. The Rangers just dished him off like he was nothing to the Ducks. Everybody's like, oh my God, why would you do that? And I'm over here looking at my buddies, a Rangers fan, like, haha, what are you guys doing? Next thing I know, 2 months later, my captain's gone. Right. It's just something you don't do. Everybody knows in hockey, the locker room's a bit different. It's much more like, I would say, I'm biased, obviously, so you can take what I say here with a grain of salt. Right. I think that locker room is more of a family than any other sport, and the captain really means something, especially from a guy who's played hockey growing up. You always look up to the captain, and just seeing a captain go like that, the way he did when he wanted to come back, it's just like, what do you expect the locker room to be like now? We saw how the Bruins ended the rest of the season. It was not fun to watch.
Well, when you see the contract stalls at 6.3 or 6.2, I think that's where they stalled at with Marchand.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he won 3 years. He's going to retire a Bruin. It's like, obviously, I hate to say it, we all knew our glory days were over. That last regular season we had was our last cup moment. Now it's time to get into the rebuild. I don't want to be where the Pittsburgh Penguins are right now, when I'm still playing. Obviously, you keep Crosby, but I still got Letang, Malkin, who they're paying those huge salaries to, where it's like they're not going to dump them off. They're saying thank you for bringing us 2 back-to-back cups in 2016, 2017 and rewarding them, knowing that the rebuild's coming soon. Let's reward our star players who gave us a phenomenal pass. Let's start tanking now and see what we can do 10 years in the future.
So, go ahead. You got something? You got nothing?
Well, I was going to say one thing about the drafting, though, and about the guy they drafted this year. I just want to know, like, what you, because he was out
It's Hagens, right? I could have butchered
Boston
that last name.
College?
Yeah, I was, so fun fact about him, he was projected a top 3 pick. A lot of people saw him going first overall at one point.
Picked 7?
And we picked 7th. He ended up dropping, which I was surprised about. I thought if he was going to drop, it would still be a top 5 pick. I mean, obviously, we're talking dropping out of the top 5 all the way to the 7th round pick isn't that big of a drop, but realistically it is. You look at hockey, obviously other sports, it's easier to get steals later in the first round or even in later rounds. When it comes to hockey, it's really the top 10 picks are the main guys to pay attention to every year. You'll still obviously, like other sports, get those guys coming in, but it's those main top 10 you want to pay attention to. And the fact that he fell that far, I'm not nervous at all. He had a phenomenal career at BC. He's been in the city for 4 years now, or excuse me, I think 3 years now. He knows what it's like to be in Boston. He knows what hockey means to this city, and he's the perfect fit. Smaller sniper forward, two-way center, who we just got to be, I don't think he'll be a first-line guy, but is about to be our second-line center, hopefully, for years to come. I'm very happy, and I think this is the first time I've said this on a draft pick this high that the Bruins have had. We've obviously thought back when we had what? We got DeBrusk, Zaboral, and a guy who didn't even make the final roster. I can't even think of his name. Like, we had 3 first-round picks. I forget what year it was, and almost all of them missed. The best one was DeBrusk, who was a third-line winger. Yeah. So it's just the fact that I'm actually getting excited for a top 6 forward coming to the Boston Bruins that was drafted by this group that we've had over the last few years there's some light at the end of the tunnel here. But there's still a lot of darkness that needs to be discovered that the boys club has to figure out to get back out of the dungeon, out of purgatory here. It's going to be a rough, I would say, next 5 years, but if they can do a smart rebuild, I think the Bruins can be back. Not to what they were, but at least have some glimpses of hope and be back in the playoff mix.
I think one of the biggest parts of this rebuild to me is going to be finding the identity, and that means the identity of play. And you saw the Panthers. I mean, small, right? Sort of.
Yeah, but gritty.
Right? And some teams play to their size. Some teams will play up and they'll say, we need big guys. We want, flying to boards. We want guys getting to the puck, right? But that group of guys, they found this hybrid mix of a small-sized team, right? But they have this grit, and they play to the puck, and they play aggressive. And I think the Bruins need to find
that happy medium right there.
their identity.
Like I said, you
in
don't even
that.
have to watch hockey to know it's a speed sport.
Right.
Back when the Bruins won their cup, it was the big bad Bruins. It was all about, hey, let's go get those big guys. Let's get Chara. Let's get McQuaid, Andrew Ference. Let's get those D who cannot just shoot it hard from the point, but are going to run your guys through the glass.
Yeah.
Now then it became a speed game. You got the McDavids of the league. I mean, you look at Colorado's team with why am I blanking? McKinnon, all those guys. I mean, they were just a quick team, and they had phenomenal depth. They were smaller, but they were quick. Florida has now elevated that in evolution to, hey, we got big guys, a mix of big guys with speed, and then we got our smaller guys who you think you're going to run over, but they're so fast that they're able to generate the momentum to run you back over. They're just a scary team to look at all around. Of course, it comes down to they got Bob, one of the best goalies in the league right now, who has been red hot for 3 straight seasons.
No.
Well, Marc, I think that wraps up our Bruins part of this. I mean, listen, we're missing that from this show is talking about ice hockey. And I think it's a bad time. It's a pretty shit time to get into watching.
I was going to say, I mean, we're
This-
pretty early
this
on.
Bruins team.
Everything's like
But-
coming in. I mean, here's my standpoint for you guys to get into hockey this year.
Right.
As a Bruins fan, it's going to suck. It's going
Right.
to be a horrible year. You're going to go, why am I watching hockey? From the NHL standpoint, this is the most hype I think the NHL has had in a long time, thanks to the last 2 Stanley Cup finals with Florida and Edmonton colliding. 4 nations brought in so much to the
Huge.
sport. And not just that,
Yeah.
for the first time in double-digit years, NHL players this year in the Winter Olympics are going to be able to play again. The
Yeah.
Winter Olympics for hockey are
Which
back.
hasn't been since like 2016.
It's been like 12. Yeah, it's been a great over a decade now.
Because remember the last I'm watching is
TJ Oshie. Yeah,
Oshie
remember that, him
Russia.
coming down against Russia. I mean, for the first time ever, we are going to get to watch NHL stars compete for their country. And you guys see how hard they fight in the Stanley Cup playoffs, how much it means for the Cup. We saw what it meant for 4 nations, which was a glorified all-star tournament. And these guys were willing to, we saw McDavid cut his leg in half basically with a skate and was willing to continue to play through that.
Yeah.
Missed the regular season, a lot of games in the regular season for the Bruins just to show pride for the USA and his country. I mean, it just goes to show how much country faith matters to these NHL players. And the fact that we're able to let these guys back into the Olympics, which Gary Bettman finally gave in, is huge. And I think the sport's only going to grow more and more because of this.
Well, to kind of transition now into Patriots, we are less than a week away now from the home opener against the Las Vegas Raiders.
RIP.
That's right. Declan Vrabel went on the Greg Hill show this morning, WEI, talked a little bit about, what he's seeing from his group. The release of Jabrill Peppers, which made headlines. Jabrill Peppers tweeting himself, he's been with 9 head coaches. It's never been a scheme thing. And I'm sure he'll land on his feet and find a place to start. Again, I think a player that, in my opinion, should be on this roster right now and starting in some capacity. 2 guys up there now, and Craig Woodson, a safety that was just drafted out of Cal. He's a Cal Bear. Bear? Something.
Yes,
Cal.
Bear.
And
Bear.
Jalen Hawkins, a guy that
Yeah.
25, 24 years old. They signed last year, ended up sticking there. And then Kyle Duggar is in there somehow over Jabrill Peppers. I kind of want to get a sense of, and I'll go to Declan and Marc. I kind of want to get a sense of what your vibes are towards this week 1 game, and then we'll kind of put up our picks and also kind of what we're expecting here.
Yeah, like back to the Peppers thing. I think it's kind of interesting because, because he was very good against the run, and now our ability against the run gets even worse now after getting rid of him. And I guess they're keeping Duggar, even though there's all stuff like, oh, are they going to trade him maybe? Like, does he even want to be here? Like, are they paying him? Because what, they didn't like the contract? Is that what it is? They don't like the contract for Duggar, or what's
For Duggar, yeah, it's definitely the contract and the play that comes with it.
Yeah. There's that. I mean, I still have confidence for this team. It's definitely been an exciting offseason. It's like difference, like change. And I think the teams have looked pretty good in practice. Obviously it hasn't been that great. The preseason games haven't been like an amazing thing to watch. Like we talked about that last week with like Drake May struggles. Do we still have the confidence in him? I still have the confidence in this team to beat this Raiders team. Like, I don't really think I think the Raiders are cool. They got Pete Carroll, who's obviously an all-timer, but I don't know. Like the Raiders' offense doesn't really move me, and I have enough belief in the defense. Even though I think Genty's probably going to give us a lot of work on Sunday, I think Genty's going to.
That's where I disagree.
Really, I think Genty.
You don't think Genty's going to be that good?
I don't. I think the front five, and we'll get into this. We'll kind of stem off of this now.
Okay.
I think this defense is prepared to defend the run. I think.
But I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, like when you get rid of a guy like Peppers.
Sure. But I think the front five is going to give this offensive line for the Raiders something.
And you think that they don't need Peppers then?
The secondary is a secondary. I'm worried about the front five guys, and then you get your linebackers in the mix. You know the Raiders are going to be run first team. They have a receiving core that's made up of Marc, Calheta, Jack Halal, and Jakobi Meyers. So it's not a great receiving core.
Their wide receiver one right now, I think listed on the depth chart is Jakobi Meyers.
It's Jakobi.
Like that's something I'm not scared of.
And then they have Van Jefferson.
Sure, but I'm saying
I love me some Van Jefferson, but that's a deep ball. That's two deep balls. You got to cover a game.
You got Meyer's not a guy that can be as good after the catch. He'll get you down at his possession catches. He'll get downfield.
Yeah.
But Geno Smith's not going to throw the ball. I think Geno Smith's going to throw the ball 18 to 22 times on Sunday. I don't think
fair.
Right, and I think a guy like Maye is going to throw the ball 24 to 26 times on Sunday.
I mean, look at the Raiders too. The way the squad is built. You look at the coaching staff. Pete Carroll now with his guys. You look at who they went with their first round pick as a new staff, as a new collective. The most hyped up running back prospect, and as long as I can remember,
that
coming
made the
in.
team good.
Yeah, I mean, this team is going to be a run, as you said, run first team, and Geno Smith is going to be there with Jakobi Meyers and Van Jefferson just to hopefully their goal is what. If we're getting stopped and we're coming down to third down, it's going to be 3rd and 2. We're going to rely on Genty twice in a row, and we just need Jakobi Meyers and Van Jefferson to get open for 3 yards, and we keep moving down the field. I don't think this is going to be a huge, big play offense. It's going to be very methodical, very basic team that I feel like the Patriots, with what they have, can easily figure out with their veteran leadership.
I think with the front five, and Kayvon Chason has been unbelievable in training camp. And a guy that was with the Raiders this past season that was a rotating player. And I think, him being named the game captain because it's the Raiders and he's had a good week of practice. I think the front five with White and Chason kind of rotating, and you got Barmore and Milton Williams in the middle, and Harold Landry on the other side of it. You want to see what you can get out of Landry, but I think they're going to be able to, especially up the middle with Robert Spillane, who's a guy that's run first, be able to kind of shut down a guy like Genty. And I can see Genty getting a ton of touches, and not a lot of yards.
Yeah, but the only thing is, I think towards the outside, he's definitely going to, definitely a thrive more on, I guess, runs. But I don't know, like Marc said, he's the highest, hyped up, running back you've seen since
I don't know who, to be honest.
I guess
I'm trying
Adrian
to think.
Peterson, maybe?
I'm not trying to downplay Ashton Genty, and I think he's
I know what you mean. I'm just saying, it's also his first game.
Yeah.
He could come out here and run 400 yards, or he's going to struggle and barely even get by 50. I don't know, but what I do know is I feel like this Patriots defense, as you're saying, is set up in a way where they're going to be able to.
I do believe in the front five a lot.
Yeah, they're going to be able to come in, scare this young rookie playing his first NFL game, and really shut him down.
I think he's going to get a ton of carries. I think he won't surpass 65 yards.
I don't think that's crazy to say either.
I think he's going to get a lot of touches, and I think that. And again, this doesn't mean that this defense is great, but I really think you look at the Raiders' offensive line.
Offensive line is not great.
It's not scaring you.
It's not. I mean, it's I know for us, our center is awful, but the rest of the line has a lot of question marks on it because you don't know what Will Campbell's going to be. You don't know what Jared Wilson's going to be at guard. You kind of know what Mike Onwenu is at right guard, and you kind of know what Morgan Moses is at right tackle. But I think the Raiders' offensive line with Genty, they're going to collapse. And I think that the Patriots are going to bring the pressure. And I think Robert Spillane being a guy at that linebacker position that's a run first, head down, downfield type of guy. And the way Terrell Williams is going to play with his front five and his secondary, I think they're going to be able to suppress Genty this Sunday. And I think that starts now. You got something else to say before we go to picks, or?
No, I disagree that yes, you make a good point about the Raiders. Their offensive line not great. They're definitely working towards building up the offense. They got Geno. They don't have the best wide receivers. I still think they're trying to build something there. So, yeah, I don't think it would be that crazy if he didn't have an amazing day like people think he will.
I think now to kind of talk about what we expect from this Patriots offense. And a lot of Raiders blog reporters, people at blog, columnists, they're all talking about how they think McDaniels is going to be in his bag on Sunday. They think he's going to try and come in there and play with a sort of chip on his shoulder after being fired from his second head coaching stint on Halloween while trick-or-treating with his kids in Vegas. So I think there's going to be a sense of we're going to see the identity of this team and how they're going to play. I think we're going to go over picks on first touchdown. We're going to go over picks on – this is not related to betting, but it's more of just picks on who we believe is going to be the type of, But I think McDaniels is, from what Raiders writers are saying, and the difference between what the Raiders writers think of our offense and what writers here and radio hosts and personalities think of our offense is completely different. From what we've seen in camp and also in joint practice, we've seen the ability to methodically move the ball downfield. Also big plays downfield with Maye. I think Maye's getting those jitters out. I think it's a process. He's a second-year quarterback.
Yeah.
He finally has started the year knowing he's a captain and a starter.
Yeah.
I want to go to Marc on this, and then we'll go to Declan. Marc, what do you think that's going to do for Drake Maye's confidence going into this first one?
I think we'll shoot up. We all saw that video recently on Twitter, I'm sure, where Vrabel, as you were saying earlier, was announcing the captains. They voted, said this was based on your votes. Offensive captain started straight off with Drake Maye. I think it's going to be huge. Obviously, I think what's going to happen, though, as we saw last year, is he had kind of an easy process in. Jacoby Brissett just got eaten alive out there. He kind of got time to understand the offense and then got put in and did pretty well for what he had because we slowly moved him in, didn't throw him right in with the Wolves. This year, I honestly think the first two games, we're going to see a little bit of a regression here. I don't think we're going to see the Drake Maye we saw at the end of last season because he's going to have to get back in the swing of things, really understand the offense and get going. However, I think after these first 2 weeks, I think the Drake Maye that everybody believes in is going to happen. We're going to see him take a step up in his sophomore year and get close to that franchise QB that everybody thinks he can really come at. I don't think his plateau is anywhere near where he's at right now, and I think he can only keep going up. I've started seeing people talk about, obviously, Jane Daniels, best QB after year one from that draft. People are now saying, depending on how Drake Maye plays, he could get higher up than Caleb Williams, where his ceiling is, depending on how both those QBs play against each other. So I am very excited to see how Drake Maye comes in. But to your point, his first two games, I think they're going to be a little bit of a struggle. It'll still be a good Drake Maye. He's just going to make some of those mistakes we've seen in practice, where when he's going down for the sack, trying to get rid of the ball comes out as a fumble, as we saw in that Commanders preseason game where he kind of got rattled a little bit, but then was able to come back in. I think once he gets those first game jitters out, we're going to see a phenomenal QB play from the guy wearing 1-0 on the Pats.
Yeah, I agree with Marc right there. I think it's definitely going to be a transition. They kind of changed the offense up a little bit, and I know they've been doing preseason games and all those practice, but you don't really know how it's going to work out until it's the real thing. I definitely think there's some struggles. I definitely think, Marc, that with the schedule, it'll be definitely an easier time for him. I think obviously the start will be hard because any start to the season, when you in the first 2 to 4 weeks, is always hard to get a grasp on what's going to happen. But I definitely think them having the schedule is going to be very helpful for him to basically see what he can do, because last year he's able to show his potential. Now this year he's going to be able to show what he can actually do, but he still has to show something good this year. And I think that confidence is fair to him, and I think it's definitely fair because of how the schedule is built, because it is a fairly easy schedule.
And to add on, Josh McDaniels. We saw what he was able to do for Mac Jones, a guy who has struggled in the NFL other than that one rookie season he had with McDaniels being his OC. So I think we have a phenomenal coaching staff now, which hopefully will be here to stay, which was a problem we had with QBs in the past, with Mac Jones, even with Cam Newton coming in, just so many different OCs and new schemes coming in. Yeah. I think now that we got our guy, McDaniels is here to stay. Drake Maye is really going to be able to grasp the plays coming in and the play calling. We've seen it. McDaniels, not a good head coach at all. We saw what happened with the Broncos when he backed out. We saw what happened, or the Colts when he backed out, what happened with the Broncos, what happened with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Does not fit the head coaching role. But when it comes to offensive coordinator, this guy is able to drop some pretty great schemes for some pretty good teams. So I'm very excited. Could be behind the hype a little bit too much, maybe some nostalgia hitting me, but I think he's going to be a perfect fit with Drake Maye to not start off the season, but at least as we get further on, I think these two are going to click together very well.
I think week one we're going to see a a jump offensively. That doesn't mean week 1 we'll see Drake Maye throw for 400 yards. I think week 1 we'll see a guy like Travion Henderson make his imprint on the team and what we saw in preseason. I mean, the guy was in street clothes for the 3rd game, right? I mean, this guy was out of the game. Don't, gift wrapped him. I don't know. Make him a present for week 1. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is the most excited I've ever been over a running back prospect in a very long time. And we know.
Yeah. Especially with the Patriots, too.
Well, we know what he is. He's not. We don't have to think about.
There's no question marks.
That's what he is, right? And I think a guy like that is not only going to finally bring this. People are not going to realize this, but in week 1, and a guy, being in football my entire life, I think people don't realize what having a weapon like that does for you and your identity schematically. Mm-hmm. Because if you have someone that the entire defense is so focused on when it comes to minimizing the threat of Travion Henderson in space, because it starts from the snap. It starts from the handoff. I mean, this guy is like Le'Veon Bell, prime Le'Veon Bell when it comes to being very patient in the backfield. When a hole's not open, he is patient. He waits for the hole to open. His burst is one of the quickest in the NFL. I think that's going to open up not only Maye's passing ability, but something that Josh McDaniels loves to do, and that's chunk yardage plays on play action. I think what's going to happen here is Maye's going to get filthy good at this play action attempt, and every single time they have Henderson back there, that defense is going to key right onto him. That middle linebacker is going to want to slam that gap. And when Drake Maye pulls back and gets that play action going and fools that defense, we're going to see the Drake Maye arm that we saw at UNC and that we saw last year live and well. In my opinion, for my first pick of the game, on a deep pass, about 30, maybe 35-yard touchdown to Mac Hollins, because that's just a guy that he's just been targeting so much in preseason. And I think if they get a play action on a little crosser to Hollins, I can 100% see that happening. Just out of the blue, just the first one. It'd be a weird one. It's either him or Austin Hooper, I think, that could catch the first touchdown.
So I was thinking something of the same way. Play action's going to get going. However, we're going to trick him on that run play. So we're going to hit him with what I think is going to happen is the play you're talking about is going to happen. We're going to be on the 5. Quick little fullback dive right to Travion Henderson. Boom, right up the middle.
That's right.
7-0 pass.
Little dive to the left side.
Yeah, I'll have a touchdown pass. I think more underrated. I think someone who the Patriots kind of went away from that we had for years, but he hasn't. His red zone presence hasn't been as amazing, and I think he gets back to that. I think it's going to be a little medium pass from the 10 to a Hunter Henry touchdown.
Oh, I see that. I see that too.
That was a guy you loved to target to last year. We saw. I mean, when you're a young QB, main guy to go to is that big tight end who's going to get you the chunk play.
I think obviously last year was a good sign for him, but I think over the years, he used to be someone who would be in the end zone every time for the Chargers, and I think his transition of coming to the Patriots hasn't been a great one because I think he's been someone who's been very under targeted, and someone who should be thriving more in the red zone.
This past season, he was number 1 target for this team.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean. I'm just laying out the fact that he was number 1 targeted player because they had no receivers besides Keyshawn Boutte, I guess.
I'm saying it's a good sign from these last
years.
It
is.
But when I said I mean the years prior.
I also believe on the on one of the earlier drives you're going to see something that McDaniels love to do, and you got a guy in space. They're going to throw a screen in there, and
for sure
that defense has to be prepared because McDaniels loves those, and he loves them in second and long situations or even second and short.
And with a guy like Henderson, perfect guy to throw in it. Look back at the Steelers; they weren't afraid on 3rd and 20 to give it to Le'Veon Bell on a screen because he had the ability, as you said, the patience, the burst of speed to be able to make that play work.
I think this offense is gonna open some eyes on Sunday, and I think they're gonna win in a big way. I think defensively, they'll have their moments. I think, they'll give up a few touchdowns, but I think they're going to find their footing and kind of find their identity. And I think this team, at the end of the day on Sunday, is going to pick up a win. I'm going to put my score prediction out now, 31-17 Patriots.
You want to go next?
Yeah, give me a bit of a weird one. I'm going to go 21-16 Pats.
Sure.
We'll go... I'm going to go about... So let's do... I'm going to say about 28-17.
All right. There they are. Patriots picks for week 1, which should be a good one. Very excited for this Sunday.
Yeah.
Can't
Most
wait to...
Pats game in as long as I can remember.
That's right. It's been a long time
since... I could
since...
also see maybe a defensive touchdown on Sunday. Maybe.
Hey, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
But to kind of wrap up those thoughts there on the Patriots and what we expect to see from them before we go and wrap on the Celtics, Just a few things to talk about there. I want to transition. I'm going to get Marc out of this shot real quick. Marc, you're not in there anymore, but I kind of want to just talk about our coverage here at WMLN 91.5 for the fall sports semester. You can listen to every game. Coverage is live on 91.5 Curry College Radio. You can listen to it on your radio. Tune right in if you're in the Milton, Boston area. And if you're streaming, go on the TuneIn app. It's actually this corner right here. TuneIn app. And on WMLN 91.5 to stream our games and listen to them. You can also listen to them and watch our our pre and post game shows on YouTube, which will be live on YouTube for select games, whether it's football, whether it's a big soccer match, whether it's a massive hockey game that you want to hear Marc call. You listen to us on WMLN 91.5 Curry College Radio, Milton, Boston. Catch us live every single game live for this fall semester on the TuneIn app or on YouTube. Marc, we're going to talk a little bit about the Celtics now and what we expect. Me and Declan have talked about this. Declan has more of an optimistic eye on the season. What do you expect from this group? Losing their best player, if not the top five, one of the top five best players in the NBA.
I'd say top five player in the NBA.
Top five player in the NBA and have zero center depth. And slowly but surely, we will finally hear officially where Al Horford's going, whether it's Cancun or the Golden State Warriors, because I know he's not coming back here. What is your expectation for this team?
I don't think we're going to be that good. I know a lot of people are high on Jaylen Brown, be like, oh my God, this is his one time to shine. He's going to be able to finally show what it means to be that number one guy on a team, which I don't think we've ever seen before, right? He's always been number two to Tatum. But I don't think he's made for the big moments. We've seen him in playoffs before. Obviously, in the finals, won Finals MVP, did his thing. But I think without Tatum, with full focus on Jaylen Brown, I think he's going to crack under the pressure. And I mean, it's going to sound crazy to say, but even though the East is low-key just an absolute crazy show, right now with everything going on, of course, Halliburton going down as well, so two top teams normally both losing their top players, I don't think it's crazy to say the Celtics will miss the playoffs. I don't think the Celtics are going to be that good. We've lost so many key pieces. I mean, it's just, especially without our number one guy who would be able to carry us throughout the season not being there, I just don't think I can fully trust this team from the fan standpoint to get into the playoffs and play the way they have the last few years. I mean, it's pretty obvious to say. It just comes down to me not trusting Jaylen Brown. I don't think he's the guy who's going to lead this team to the next generation of talent.
To kind of jump off of that, I want him to be successful. I want him to lead the team. I just think his play style is just not.
It's not team friendly, is the way you want to say it.
Yeah, it's not really
it's
that
very
team
obviously
friendly, but it's more like doesn't really fit the scheme. His play style is better to play off of someone.
100%.
His type of play style,
because he's not a 3-point shooter. He can be a playmaker, but I think
he gets to the cup, try to put it in for two.
That's right. But the thing about Tatum is that he's just an all around. He can do everything.
Yeah.
So it's easy to scheme.
Yeah, because you need him to go up for that layup or dunk. He's got you. Need him to do that fadeaway three. He's got you. I mean, Tatum, he's just the perfect the perfect scheme artist, basically, is the way you can put it.
I think
he can do what you need him to do.
I think the leading scorer on this team is going to be Anthony Simons. I think he's going to be I think he will be, and I think that's going to be good trade bait. If you get him to be a leading scorer, get to the deadline and move him for something. Move him for center depth. Move him for picks. I think that's the type of guy that you can move off of. I'd love for him to be here. I think him and Tatum would work well together, but I don't think he's in the future of this team. They picked him up for that reason, to be that 2-year piece. He's got a $20-some-odd million contract. I don't know what his contract look is, but I think without Tatum, this team's kind of lost a little bit. And Pritchard, we're going to get to see him in starting minutes and see how he works out. Hope obviously his numbers are going to dwindle a little bit. They're not going to be at the point of where they were coming off the bench, or maybe he'll be better. Just a very undersized guard that can't really play defense. And I think this team maybe can make the play-in. I'm not really high on this team. When you got Luka Garza at center and Emmaus Queta.
Well, I mean, I feel like you want this team to be bad because you're going to get Tatum back. Obviously, if we're bad, they're not going to throw him in. They're not going to try to force him in early for a playoff push. Let him stay. But if the lottery is rigged, Celtics, one of the top 5 names, give us another player to bounce off Tatum. You know what?
Give me AJ Dibanza.
If it is an actual
now.
lottery, let's try our luck. Let's see what those ping pong balls are going to do. Let's see if we get the luck of the draw.
I just don't think the team is that bad enough to be in a top 10 pick. That's the only thing that I think. I think this team won't be great, but I don't think we're going to be bad enough as the bottom 5 teams in each Like
Yeah, he
it's, like,
listed the
conference.
bottom 5 teams 2 podcasts ago, and we talked about that. And I agree, but at the same time, I think if you move Simons away
Yeah.
at the deadline, and you're rotating Neemias Queta, Luka Garza,
games are gonna be dropping.
and
You're just gonna be marking L
whatever.
tallies.
That's right. Whatever the center situation is going to be at that point. And you keep rotating guys like that, and you're hoping Derek White can score, and you're hoping Brown can score, limiting any more injuries to this team. God forbid anything happens. I think this team could finish worse than you think it will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if one guy gets hurt, because already, let's take a look at the starting lineup, right? Anthony Simons is going to be at point, or no, excuse me, Payton Pritchard is going to be at point. They're going to put Simons on the bench. They'll probably move him to the starting lineup at some point.
Yeah.
Derek White's going to be at shooting guard. Jaylen Brown's going to be at small forward. Who's your power forward? Starting power forward.
But like I
Sam
just think
Hauser.
though,
Starting like I'm not going to jack you here. Give me an answer. Because who like
Chris Boucher.
Chris Boucher, who's your starting center? Neemias Queta.
Yeah.
So you're telling me the back end of this starting five.
Hey, we got Jordan Walsh still. All right, he can
that's a
break
make
out.
or break year for him this year. It's a
That
big
is- no,
make or
but
break year.
but I think on this roster there is a lot of like there's a lot of good like rookie like potential on this team, or players who are in their second or third year. So potential. I mean, like Walsh, Shireman, like Gonzalez. Come on.
I don't buy it.
You don't buy any of them?
No, I think Walsh. It's make or break for Walsh.
Yeah.
I like him. He was great at Arkansas. He was right at the rim. He liked to dunk a lot. Now they're like, hey, can you be 3-and-D for us? Because that's who they want him to be.
Yeah.
He's not a 3-and-D. When he shoots threes, it's like, in 2K when you hold down the square and the meter's taking so long. That's what it feels like. And I think he's not a 3-and-D guy. We're not playing him to what he's supposed to be. I think it's a make or break year for him. But he's not going to be a guy that's going to go to the rim, because when he comes into the game, what situation is going to give him for a lane and a path to the rim? He's rotating in. A guy like Shireman, I'm not big on. I'm really not.
At all?
I'm not. No.
But he's
He can shoot threes, sure. Not consistently, probably not. His defense is okay.
And then you look what knocks us out of the playoffs: our lack of 3 balls going in.
That's right. And then Hugo is a huge question mark. They drafted him just based off of like, all right, we see it's kind of there. There's a skeleton of a player there. He's not complete. Obviously, he's not. He's from Spain, right? I mean, like he's not filled out yet. He's kind of a skeleton of a player. I think this team is going to be in rebuild mode. I think this team is going to trade at the deadline. They're going to get pieces away. And the players understand the situation. The thing I like about this group is that they just won a title 2 years ago, and they understand the situation they're in. They lost Tatum. These players are not going to check out and be like, all right, whatever. They're going to play hard. I'm sure they're going to score. But I don't think they can close out games, even against teams that aren't too great, because of this back end of the starting lineup.
I mean, I would love for them to be like the worst team, like, and be able to get like a guy like AJ DeBonsto. I just don't know if it'll happen, because I would love for him. Like, I mean. By the way, like that's just like a storybook thing. Like that'd be like he's from Brockton.
From Brockton, yep.
He's from Brockton, Massachusetts. He's like said that his favorite player growing up was Jason Tatum. Jason was his favorite player.
All right.
I mean, that's just a storybook thing. It's kind of hard. Obviously, I know like last 2 years, like the Mavericks and the Hawks have somehow got #1 picks. The Hawks were like supposed to be the 9th pick or 8th pick when they got Zachary Ricochet, and then the Mavericks, who that's a crazy story of in itself, were projected to get 10 or 11 and got #1. So
You never know what could happen.
I know. So I agree to what Marc said before about like let's test our luck. I just don't know if they'll be bad enough.
Yeah. Well, that about wraps up today's show. Marc Calheta joins us in place of Jack Halal on the I just almost said it again, on the Hickey and Chuck show today, on the Halal and Hickey program. And what's been a good one today, Marc, thank you so much for stopping by and filling in for Jack. Jack actually texted me during this 4 times and counting.
Yeah.
So you can tell he really wants to be here. Marc, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for
joining
having
us.
me, of course. Always awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Come on. Hopefully, once hockey season starts up, we can get a few surprises from the Bruins to maybe talk
Come
about.
right back on as well and have Jack in here, and you can really rage bait him as we do. Declan Hickey, Chuck LaRossi, Marc Calheta, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.